Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Kansas Tourism Industry Virtual Huddle. My name is Bridget Job, and I am the Kansas Director of Tourism. I do want to remind everyone that these huddles are recorded and they will be posted on the travel industry section of travelchaos.com. They're also posted on TIAK.org, and then we post them also on the Kansas Tourism Industry Facebook page for anyone who is not able to join us live on the call. Also, just a reminder that if you have any questions throughout any of today's presentation, post it on the chat and we will try to answer as many of them as we can. These huddles are sponsored by TIAK and by Kansas Tourism, and we all thank you for taking a little time out of your day to join us. Today's agenda is full with a lot of important updates. You're going to hear from me on the upcoming move for Kansas tourism. You'll hear from TIAK on legislative issues. We're going to talk about National Tourism Week plans. Sports KS has an announcement about an upcoming speaker. And then we have a few other important announcements. So lots of important information that's going to be shared today. I do expect today's meeting to be fairly short, but I know that's never a problem to have a little extra time given back to your day. So I don't think anyone will mind too much with that. So I'm going to kick this off with some updates from the Kansas Tourism Office. The big news for us is that we are moving. As you know, Governor Kelly submitted an executive reorganization order, or an ERO, in January to move the Kansas Tourism Division from the current agency of the Department of Wildlife, Parks and Tourism to the Department of Commerce. TIAK members, along with several other state organizations such as KETA, the Kansas Restaurant and Hospitality Industry, all played a very big role in the success of the ERO by talking to legislators and explaining why this move makes sense. Both legislative bodies had 60 days to disapprove of the governor's ERO, and both the House and Senate saw the wisdom in this move, and the ERO passed on March 26th. Lieutenant Governor Toland was hoping to be able to join us today for this huddle, but he was called away for an event with the governor. And he does plan to join us on the May huddle. And so I don't want to take away any of his talking points, but I will tell you that both of us, in fact, everyone who was involved with this ERO process, firmly believe that it is you, the tourism industry, who pushed this ERO across the finish line. It was your phone calls, your emails, your in-person conversations with legislators. That is what made the difference. I can't tell you how many times I spoke with a legislator thinking that I was going to have to convince them on why this move made sense for tourism. And they told me that they had already heard from their local tourism folks that they supported the move. I will tell you the TIAK executive and full board were very engaged in the entire process. Jim Zaleski, your president, submitted some great quotes for press releases, and Natalie and Marley did a fantastic job in carrying this message at the State House. So I truly do thank you all for your hard work. But now that the ERO has passed, my hard work begins. The effective date of when Kansas Tourism will become a division of the Department of Commerce is July 1. There's a little confusion out there about the effective date. So between now and July 1, Kansas Tourism is still a division of the Kansas Department of Wildlife, Parks and Tourism. These 3 months, it gives us time to strategically plan and put everything into motion for that July 1 effective date. We had a few meetings before the ERO passed, but once it is finalized, we hit the ground running. Last week, several division heads from both Commerce and KDWPT met to discuss the move. We had HR, IT, accounting, legal, facilities, all with many questions and thoughts about how to make this move as seamless as possible. And for anyone who's been through this type of move before, you know that there is so much behind the scenes that needs to happen. So over the next few weeks, we have a lot of cleaning out of old paper and old items from our office. Commerce is a paperless office. And for those of us who are paper hoarders, and I won't mention any names, but there are a few in our office, myself included, we are having to do some pretty extensive clearing out. We have a week planned in mid-May for extensive shredding and recycling so that we can be prepared for our physical move week, which will be the week of June 28th through July 2nd. And during that week, everything we own from KDWPT will be transferred across the street to our new home in the Curtis building. During that week, I will give you a heads up that the staff here may be out of pocket for a couple of days. We are attempting to minimize that as much as possible, but please know that especially during that week, it may take us a little longer than normal to respond to emails or calls. So after July 1, our new address will be 1000 Southwest Jackson. And over the last few weeks, I have been working with Lieutenant Governor Tolan to determine the best location in the Curtis building for the tourism team offices. If you have been in the Curtis building before, we will be in what they refer to as the secretary suite. So when you walk in the front door, we are the suite to the left. Tourism will be right up in the front area of that suite, and they are starting right now some remodeling to accommodate us. We've got new office cubicles have been ordered, and things are progressing very quickly. The staff of the Kansas tourism team has not been able to get over to the new office space as of yet. We are still operating on a split office schedule, and I am hoping to have everyone back in the office full time around the 1st of May, and we're going to schedule some walkthroughs then. I will tell you that the Commerce staff has been very open and very welcoming to me. As soon as the ERO passed, Lieutenant Governor Tolan immediately had me start attending Commerce leadership team meetings. I have started meeting with him one-on-one on a weekly basis on tourism related issues. A couple of weeks ago, I was able to do a short introduction video for the Commerce Connection employee newsletter to explain a little bit about what we do. And I am meeting with folks from the Commerce leadership staff on various issues already. I honestly feel like the stage has been set for a very positive move experience. That being said, we are still very actively engaged with the KDWPT folks. In fact, we are working with the management team here to make sure that our close partnerships and our relationships continue even when we are no longer a division of this agency. Kansas Wildlife Parks and Tourism is going to undergo some pretty significant changes also with this move. As of July 1, the agency name will revert back to Kansas Department of Wildlife and Parks, or KDWP. The T will no longer be there. And I'll continue to keep you all updated on that change. There is one last thing I want to mention while I'm talking about the move. I want to give a shout out to the staff of Kansas Tourism. This staff is about to undergo some pretty significant changes, and we all know that change can be very scary. The unknown of a new job situation is really not anyone's favorite thing in life. I know it's not mine, and especially when it is a change is something that they really didn't ask for. Last year, during our strategic planning process, this team put together our team values. And I have shared these with you before, but it seemed like a good time to share them with you again. The Kansas tourism team values that we committed to striving to live and work every day are to be passionate. We are taking ownership of our role in the Kansas tourism industry. We want to be authentic. And to us, that means to communicate genuinely and effectively with our partners and with each other. We also want to be inclusive, and that means to support all of Kansas and be welcoming to all visitors. And the thing that I have seen lately that they have really shined at is to be innovative, to be open to new ideas, progressive in our thinking, and strategic in our actions. This team over the entire ERO process has demonstrated these values, even when they had questions or were a little scared with the changes. And I don't get to do this very often, but since I have the microphone right now, I want to publicly thank the Kansas tourism team. So Kelly, Jamie, Andrea, Colby, Jordan, Sue, Taylor, Mona and her staff in Goodland, Christy and her staff in Belle Plaine, for trusting me through this process. I do not take that trust lightly, but mainly I want to thank you all for carrying out these values every day. So with that, I will continue to keep each of you updated on our move. You will hear more from Lieutenant Governor Toland next month, but know that there are a lot of moving pieces over the next 3 months. My goal is to keep my eye on the final objective, which is to place Kansas Tourism Division in the best possible position to be able to grow and flourish in the future. Feel free to reach out to me with any questions or concerns that you have, but our next 3 months are going to be very, very busy. So there's a couple of other updates I want to share with you that are happening with Kansas tourism, because while we're in the process of moving, we still have everything else going on. Our new website, it is so close. Jordan in our office has taken the lead on this, but literally everyone on this team has had a hand in one way or another in this new site. We anticipate a launch around the end of April. That will be ahead of National Tourism Week, and we will be focusing on promoting it quite a bit during that week and the month of May. So along those lines of the new website, please make sure that you are checking your listings. Check your city pages. Are they updated and do they have fresh content? Make sure that you have photos uplisted to your listings. Or if you have any questions about your listings, I have Kelly Hilliard's email address on the screen. If you have questions about city pages or photos and how to upload those, I have Jordan's email on the screen. Make sure you reach out to them and they will make sure you have everything you need to get everything updated before the launch. I also wanted to mention our marketing messaging. Over the past year, during the pandemic, our marketing messages, as yours have been very scaled back. We have focused more on in-state messaging as travel slowed down and travel habits changed. We are still promoting what there is to do in Kansas, but we focused more on, very heavily on outdoor type activities and creating an awareness and a pride of Kansas. And I know that you were all doing very similar messaging with your local marketing campaigns. So as things are starting to loosen up again, I'm getting a lot of questions, but we're seeing as more attractions open, as COVID hospitalizations continue to stay lower, as more people are vaccinated, and as people become more confident in traveling, we are beginning to expand our messaging just a bit. We can't move too fast. We can't get ahead of what is safe. And we will continue to have travel safely messaging, reminding folks to follow local health orders, CDC guidelines. I don't see any of those going away in the too near future, but we are starting to be a little more aggressive in inviting out-of-staters to visit Kansas as circumstances allow. We also realize that things can change quickly with COVID, so we are prepared to back up a little if needed. I know that you are all having the same conversations within your offices, and I just want you to know that we are having them too. I wish there was this easily spelled out timeline that would work for everyone. It would be great to be able to share that with you. It would make it so much easier. But we know that what works exactly for one community might not work for another. So I encourage you to continue to be flexible, to move ahead when the time is right, but be flexible just as we are being. So during our next month's huddle in May, we do plan on sharing with you some more details of our summertime marketing, our fiscal year 22 marketing plan, and our budget. The last thing I'll mention is that we are working on some fam trips for travel journalists and influencers later this year. We also have several influencers that will be traveling throughout Kansas in May and June. We have a total of 4 fam trips right now scheduled for August, September, and October, and we'll be sharing more details with you about this next month. But I think the important thing for me to mention is that we are really almost overwhelmed with the interest and the desire that we are seeing from influencers and journalists to come to Kansas. I think there's some pent up demand that is probably driving some of this, but I can also attribute this to what Kansas has to offer to visitors. And I can also attribute it to the work that Colby has been doing over the last few months in communicating with these writers, influencers. So I hope that you are all seeing the same thing, and we'll continue to keep you updated on all of those trips. So at this point, I am going to stop talking and I am going to turn this over to Marley and Natalie for their legislative update from TIAK.
Thank you, Bridget. And you get Marley today, everybody. I'm so glad you're able to join and very excited, Bridget, for your move to Commerce in July. Again, I wanted to reiterate and thank everybody who did contact their legislator. We know that your contacts made a difference and we appreciate you. One thing I would suggest is to thank your legislators as they are home now over break. This is a great time to contact them, make contact with them, let them know how your community is doing, and to thank them for their support of this move. We appreciate them and we very much appreciate you taking the time to contact them about this important issue. Just very quickly to talk about where we are in the legislative session. First adjournment was April 9th. This means that the legislative committee work and floor work is complete. You will not see bills running across the floor of the House or Senate unless they're in conference committee reports. And legislators, the majority of the legislative work has been complete for the 2021 session. They will come back on May 3rd for veto session. Veto session is a session at the end of the year. Traditionally, it is just a very short session to override or look at anything the governor vetoed during regular session. It has turned into more of a working session where business does get done. Veto session, as I stated, begins May 3rd. They will have some budget issues to consider. Education budget did not make its way into the budget that was passed. They will have some additional budgeting omnibus issues that they will discuss, and there will be some tax issues they will discuss. So May 3rd, they'll come back for a week or two, and then they will adjourn for the session and then come back for the final day of the session, which is called sine die, which means the final day in Latin, I believe. And so they will come back for sine die in late May or early June, and it just depends how long veto session lasts. So with that, I will go through some of the issues that did make its way through the legislature. There is one more bill before that, I believe, or one more. Is that the first slide? Okay, sorry about that. I must have. You can go back to the economic development. Wanted to talk first before I get into economic development about some COVID-related bills. The COVID-related bills do impact the Emergency Management of Kansas Act. It's called the KEMA. KEMA, the Kansas Emergency Management Act, was very much amended after this emergency. The governor did sign, it was Senate Bill 40, and that bill does put a lot more of the responsibility at the county level instead of the state level. The counties can implement mandates, and the counties do have much more local control over items than they did before. The KEMA Act was very outdated, and it never anticipated the type of emergency that we have been in and that we have had because of COVID. The KEMA Act, it was contemplated for some disasters like tornadoes or floods or fires or some animal safety provisions in there, but never contemplated a health emergency like we have been acting under. The governor did sign Senate Bill 40, which enacts these new KEMA requirements. The first issue that the legislature dealt with under the new KEMA provisions was the mask mandate. The governor did reissue a statewide mask mandate, but because of the new KEMA provisions, the LCC, which is the Legislative Coordinating Council, was given power to disapprove any of the governor's EROs or EOs, executive orders. So the governor did implement several executive orders in regards to the emergency management provisions. The only one the legislative body, the LCC, took up was the mask mandate. They did vote against party lines to disapprove the statewide mask mandate. This means that each county can decide whether they want a mask mandate in their county or not. It is not coming from the state anymore. There are also additional provisions that if a county does close a business or a school district does require a mask, that there can be a direct appeal to district court, and within, I believe, 72 hours, there has to be a hearing, and the case has to be decided within a week. I know that in some Wichita communities, as well as Johnson County communities, there has been some discussion about the mask mandate in schools. So just to let you know that the statewide powers have been changed because of Senate Bill 40, and many of those powers now flow down to your local county. Looking at economic development, there are many bills at the governor's desk for her to review and sign. The governor does have 10 days once the bills are presented to her to either sign, veto, or allow them to become law. She can allow them to become law after 10 days without her signature. And she has done that once this session on a bill that would require or would not allow choice among utilities in the cities and counties. So she has allowed one bill to become law without her signature. The governor is expected to veto several bills, and I will talk about those as we go through this. Star bonds, Senate Bill 124, is on her desk and is awaiting her signature. It does reauthorize star bonds in the state of Kansas. It also does expand them in some rural communities as well. Senate Bill 66 is the angel investor tax credit. It was concurred with by the Senate and now goes to the governor. Some HPIP provisions, some kit incurred decoupling from HPIP. Currently, HPIP does have a requirement that you have to go through the kit incur program to be eligible for HPIP. The bill also extends the HPIP tax credits for businesses. That bill is before the governor for her signature. Senate Bill 90 amends the Rural Housing Incentive District Act. That bill now goes to the governor for her signature. If you could go to the next slide. There are several tax bills that have been discussed. There's a property tax bundle bill that was passed that is going to the governor, sales tax bundle bill. But Senate Bill 50 does include the collection of remote sales tax and was amended in the Senate Tax Committee regarding hotels and the transient guest tax. The bill was amended in the House to add a whole bunch of other stuff that the governor has vetoed in the past. Senate Bill 50 is on the governor's desk. We do not know if she will sign that bill or veto that bill. There is a veto-proof majority that did vote for the bill in the Senate. The House is lacking 2 votes for veto-proof in the House. Excuse me. If she does veto that bill, we anticipate that the collection of the remote sales tax will be added to a separate bill in conference committee if the veto override does not pass. So Senate Bill 50 is an important bill regarding remote sales tax and transient guest tax. 2 other tax bills I do want to touch on provide funds for impacted business, either from property tax credits or reimbursements. Senate Bill 286 is in the Senate Judiciary Committee, and Senate Bill 149 is in the Senate Tax Committee. Those bills both provide property tax reimbursement or a fund for reimbursement for businesses that were shut down. We anticipate action on these bills, during veto session. Next slide, Bridget. There was a transportation bill that did make its way through the legislature. This bill is also on the governor's desk for her signature. It decreases the transportation program, the alternative delivery project threshold, and authorizes the use of federal stimulus funds and KDOT bonds. In the first year, $1.6 billion worth of projects, modernization and expansion projects were put in the pipeline. So T-Works has been very successful, or not T-Works, I'm sorry, the new TIAK Legacy program has been very successful to date. Next slide, Bridget. Several additional issues that we are following: the unemployment insurance issue. This bill is on the governor's desk for her signature. This bill will modernize the unemployment trust fund platform and will include $500 million of federal stimulus dollars to reimburse the trust fund. The final bill, Senate Bill 208, which is now in Senate Bill 55, is a transgendered bill, and I'm sure everybody has heard about this. This bill only allows females at birth to compete in women's sports. The bill did pass both the House and the Senate and is headed to the governor's desk for her signature. The governor has indicated that she will only sign bills that support businesses in Kansas. We do anticipate the governor to veto this bill, which is now in Senate Bill 55. We do not anticipate that there will be enough votes in the House to override this bill. In the Senate, there are the votes to override, but we do not anticipate the votes in the House, and it has to go before both the House and the Senate. All right, moving on. The last thing I wanted to mention is the TIAK Education Seminar on June 10th. This will be in Salina. We will be talking about mental health. Registration is now live on the TIAK website, and we encourage you to sign up. We'll be having a TIAK dinner the night before, just kind of a come and go fun dinner at a restaurant in Salina. The information is on the website as well. It will be an outdoor event. And so we are very excited to have our first in-person event in a year and a half. Information is on the TIAK website, and it will be on social media as well as in our newsletters as well. And with that, I will turn it back over to Bridget for any questions or to continue on with the huddle.
I am not seeing any questions. Thank you. That was a great report. Thank you, Marley. Okay, I am going to move on. National Tourism Week is coming up quickly. This year it is May 2nd through 8th. And just for those of you who this may be new to, National Travel and Tourism Week is an annual tradition for the U.S. travel community. And it's a time when travel and tourism professionals across the country unite to celebrate the value that travel holds for our economy, for our businesses, and our personal well-being. I think this year we have a great opportunity to highlight that value after the year that we had in 2020. In the past, we have celebrated this week in various ways. And this year we talked about trying to hold some type of event in Topeka, but we're still very limited in visitation to the Capitol. And we're just not quite there yet. I know that some communities typically hold their annual luncheons or events around this time of year, but again, many of those are still being held virtually. The real focus of this week is to take this as an opportunity to educate those elected officials and folks that we report to, or to educate the residents in our communities on the impact that tourism has on our economy. So we at Kansas Tourism have attempted to assist you in that process. In our last travel talk, we shared a toolkit that we have on our travelks.com website. And I think Jordan has dropped a link to that in the chat. So in this toolkit, I'm going to click through to this. You'll see this is the page that you will go to, has some information on here, and then you will be able to click through, and you will see here that we have provided a handout that you can use as is, or you can edit with your own community information to share with your elected officials about the impact that tourism has. We also have some social media graphics. So a very important note here, follow the instructions. Jordan did a great job of stating, please read first. You'll notice right here. If you are like me and you just start clicking around and then you wonder what you're looking at and you get confused with how to do it, these are very important instructions. So after you have read these instructions, you will see that you have two versions of the fact sheet. The first one is something that you can download directly. It's ready for you to print and email to your elected officials. So when I click here, this is what you can print out and hand out or email. It gives you some statewide economic impact numbers. And then on the back, it has some impact examples of what a softball team or a family of 4 might spend in your community. We will be sharing this handout with all statewide officials along with a personalized cover letter. And so please use this, feel free to use this for your local elected and your residents. If you go back, you will notice that we have provided you with an editable version of this handout. And when you go to this, you can edit this in either Adobe Acrobat or InDesign. So when I open that, the front page is exactly the same, but you will notice on the second page, we've left a space where you can edit this with your local economic impact information. Instructions on all of this can be found in that first please read first document that I mentioned. It's very important for you to read. The second thing that I want to show you in this is that we've also provided you with some social media graphics that you can use on your community or your CVB social media pages. Please feel free to use these. We know that some of you may have your own information that you want to put on social media, and that is fantastic. That's great. Please use it. These are just here if you need them, or it may give you some ideas from your own post. I will mention that suggested copy for the social media post is also located on that please read document. So as I mentioned, Kansas Tourism will be providing all of that information to our statewide elected officials. We're also working with the Department of Commerce and the governor's office on some social media posts that will go out that week. And we have a proclamation that is going to be signed by the governor that week, declaring it National Travel and Tourism Week in Kansas. I am still confirming all the details on that, and I will keep you updated. One last thing that we are working on is an op-ed that will go out from our office, focusing on the impact that tourism has on our economy. So I hope this toolkit is helpful. We've tried to give you some resources that will make it an easy process for you to share the impact that tourism has on your community and on the state of Kansas. Jordan Romerman is taking the lead on this. Her email is on the slide. She can assist you with the editable form. If you need help in getting your local community information into that, or any other details that are in the toolkit, please feel free to reach out to Jordan. Okay, at this point, I am going to introduce Mike Bell with Visit Topeka for an announcement from Sports Kansas. Mike.
Thank you very much, Bridget. I'm really excited about this announcement, and really to tell you what I'm especially excited about is Sports Kansas is going to have their first in-person meeting in May. This is the first, we do have quarterly meetings, and one of the things that we were just really adamant about is how can we start to get together again and keep tourism moving, and sports tourism in particular. I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about Sports Kansas and some of the benefits that we have, which you can see listed on the slide. But we are talking about our in-person meeting, which is going to be at the Great Bend Event Center. We do have a big ballroom, so we're going to have plenty of space to adequately social distance. And we'd love for you to come and join not only our group and coalition, but come and join us for the big announcement. One thing that we have to do is just really talk about education, and our educational session is going to be kind of emceed or anchored by a Kansas celebrity speaker and a native to Barton County. And that person is Jackie Stiles. Jackie's going to be speaking on her leadership, teamwork, and how the sports industry approaches different venues and tourism in general. If you haven't heard of Jackie, she's a Claflin native who by the end of her senior year became the leading scorer for boys and girls in Kansas high school history. She's a state record holder with 71 points in one game, went to Missouri State as the all-time leading scorer in the NCAA Division I basketball history with 3,390 points. She remains the only woman to score more than 1,000 points in a single season. In her college career, she recorded several outstanding awards and has a statue to honor her on that campus. In 2001, the WNBA draft pick, she was number 4 by the Portland Fire, and she captured the Rookie of the Year title, scoring an average of 14.9 points. She was 2001 WNBA All-Star Team and was picked WNBA Player of the Week. Right now, Jackie's the OU women's assistant basketball coach and still a huge fan of the Great Bend, Kansas area. She's happy to come back and talk to tourism professionals about her experiences in the sports realm at all levels. So one thing you need to do is, if you would like to attend, is respond to Christina in Great Bend. Her email address, or I think she just dropped it in the chat there, but is chayes@greatbendkansas.net. Of course, we'd love to have you come to the meeting, join our coalition of Sports Kansas, and really just turn out for this great in-person meeting. Thank you very much. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer, or shoot me an email offline.
Mike, thank you. That's great. And I see Christina has dropped this in here, how excited she is to host Jackie. What a great event. And I love all the work, the positive work that Sports Kansas is doing. Thank you. Okay, final announcements. Kansas Tourism Conference. Make sure it's on your calendar. October 18th through 20th in Liberal. We've been holding some planning meetings, and it's going to be great. Registration will open in June, and we'll have more information in the upcoming months. Don't forget the TIAK educational seminar that Marley mentioned, June 10th in Salina. Of course, National Tourism Week, make sure you take a look at that toolkit. Governor's Council on Travel and Tourism, it will be May 7th. I anticipate that it's going to be a Zoom meeting. Watch for updates and a Zoom link in our Travel Talk newsletter. And I do have to mention the Big Kansas Road Trip, which is sponsored by our friends at Kansas Sampler. This year, it is May 6th through 9th in Brown, Donovan, and Nemaha counties. I've been looking at their website. I've already charted out a couple of places that I plan to visit that weekend, and I hope I get to see some of you on the road in one of those 3 counties in Kansas. Our next huddle is Wednesday, May 12th at 1 o'clock. And that concludes our huddle for this month. Thank you for taking the time to catch up with us. Keep doing what you're doing. We know that it makes a difference. I will quote Albert Einstein when he said that life is like riding a bicycle. To keep your balance, you must keep moving. Keep moving, folks. Keep doing what we do. To the stars. And I will talk to you next month.